This week, I'm taking a journey across Yellowstone National Park as it celebrates its 150th anniversary.
Oh my God, just spectacular.
I'll meet the people using this milestone to address the park's complex history by returning America's largest land mammal back to Native American tribes in a historic partnership.
The ecological importance of restoring the animal to the landscape heals the land. By integrating this animal back into our diet, it heals us.
I'll attempt to track down the park's elusive wolves that were reintroduced in one of the most successful rewilding initiatives of all time.
It doesn't happen too much in human endeavors where your ancestors had made a terrible, terrible mistake in terms of killing off wildlife, that you can correct that mistake and make it better. And that's what happened here in Yellowstone. It's a very positive story.
Yellowstone was one of the world's first national parks. Established in 1872, it inspired a movement, and today there are thousands of them globally. Lakes, volcanoes, and mountains span almost 4,000 square miles of wilderness. Home to over half of the world's active geysers, the park is at the core of one of the largest ecosystems on the planet.
Okay. So this is Old Faithful, probably one of the world's most famous geysers. And there she goes. Oh my God, just spectacular. And the snow-capped mountains in the distance. It's hard not to drive with your jaw open, basically.
And the first stop on my journey is the park's oldest lodge, as it opens its doors for its busiest season yet.
Yellowstone represents some of the very best America has to offer, and 150 years is a long time. We didn't always get it right. We killed every single wolf in this park. Even in the 1960s, we were feeding bears out of garbage dumps.
Despite fierce opposition, when the park was first established, indigenous people were forcibly removed from their land. Until now, their history has been largely untold, but the Park Service is trying to change that.
So 27 American Indian tribes that, to one degree or another, were on this landscape prior to 1872. And even though we've done some really good things with tribes over the years, we felt that it was a point in time where we really needed to re-engage with tribal nations.
Yeah.
And for us to not only be able to tell the stories ourselves about American Indian history and culture, which is part of our mission, but also to get them in the park.
Yeah.
To get them engaged with visitors.
It takes me about 4 or 5 days to make a doll.
Wow.
Back inside, I meet Scott, whose Native American ancestors were forced from their lands. He's here not only to sell his handicrafts, but also to later raise his tribal flag over the site.
This song is my brother's song. It's a Sundance song. It's to wake up to. So raising the flag to me is, coming home and putting the flag in and reclaiming, what was to some taken away. Yellowstone calls out to people to come worldwide. Somehow that word Yellowstone is a message to people to come and see not only the geysers, but the animals, you know, the buffaloes, the wolves. And so for me, it's a beacon of starting an environmental movement to save land for us in the future, but for us to come in to be with the people, of the animal people.
And it's the animals that are helping soothe these relations, in particular, Yellowstone's iconic bison. These days, you don't have to travel far to come across these guys thundering around, causing traffic jams. But at the end of the 19th century, they were hunted almost to extinction. In a short space of time, the population of America's largest land mammal fell from over 20 million to around only 200, and with them disappeared the futures of many Native American tribes.
That was really a sad story. We thought that removing bison from this continent was the way to remove the food source that Native Americans relied upon. And as you know, we were essentially eliminating Native Americans from this country, we were eliminating their food. And it's taken us probably 100 years to come to grips with that. And then to say what it really does mean to get these animals back out on big landscapes. And more so than that, hopefully get them back to people who these animals mean more to them than maybe anybody on the planet.
Ready for the family group?
Thanks to a captive breeding program, bison numbers are now booming.
Coming together, one.
And for the first time in its history, the park authorities are working with local Native American groups to relocate these magnificent beasts to roam again across tribal lands.
Here she comes, 5!
We get in the truck, I'm usually behind the animals as they're heading north. You know, we have these caravans of trucks just heading across the highways of Montana. And it doesn't matter what time of year it is, the tribes are just waiting there. They're waiting for these animals to get off of the trucks.
Back on the road, I'm making a 5-hour journey to see how one of the latest herds to be released are getting on. So I've now left Yellowstone behind. I've entered the Wind River Reservation, and it feels really, really different here. Wind River, one of the largest reservations in America, home to the Eastern Shoshone and Northern Arapaho tribes, was created when conflict broke out between the tribes and American frontier settlers in the 19th century. Hey, Jason.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good, how are you? Jason is the man responsible for the newly relocated animals.
And Willie?
Hey. Along with the breeding program, he also hosts local school groups to try and reconnect children with their Native American heritage. So how do the kids respond when they come out here?
It's in our genetic memory, you know, buffalo are in our DNA. We had some kids come out in a bus, and they got off the bus, and the buffalo were curious, and they came around the bus, and to see them make eye contact with each other was something really, really special. It's an emotional experience, really, you know, to see those kids have a reconnection with that.
Yeah.
It never gets old.
No, they're such gorgeous creatures, aren't they?
They are.
So talk to me about the moment that the first buffalo hoof hit the land.
It's taken me 15 years really to get the support. There's a bald eagle flying over us right here.
Bald eagle!
It was very impactful. You know, you could have never imagined just that one hoof print would have been so significant.
Yeah.
But it was 131 years that it took for that hoof to land.
So beyond conservation, you know, why are the buffaloes so important?
That piece of our life connection was severed when the buffalo was eliminated, nearly exterminated. So restoring the animal to our communities is very important in our cultural revitalization. You know, the ecological importance of restoring animal to the landscape heals the land. By integrating this animal back into our diet, it heals us. I myself had to find that. Struggled with alcohol for a number of years and was able to put that away 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Find recovery, find healing. It's putting away, you know, the atrocities, the problems that were imposed upon us, and creating a new solution to something better.
Yeah. So the buffalo have really helped you find yourself and just reconnect.
I know I wouldn't be here today without these buffalo.
Well, Jason, you are making it happen. The work you're doing here is honestly nothing short of incredible, and I wish you the best of luck with everything.
Well, thank you very much.
From my heart, I genuinely mean that.
Thank you very much.
The bison transfer program is growing, but slowly. Transporting these animals isn't easy. Montana laws limit movement for fear of transmission of disease to healthy livestock. The impact of state law can be felt throughout the park, particularly where I'm going next. Gardiner is home to around 800 people. And one of the main industries here is taking visitors out to try and spot the illustrious wolf. It is obscenely early. I've got to tell you, I'm not used to waking up at this hour, but I could be seeing wolves today, so let's hope the wake-up call is worth it. Recent and controversial changes to the law have increased the quota of wolves that can be hunted outside of the park's boundaries, potentially placing these majestic animals under threat, making the work of Yellowstone Forever increasingly important. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, good morning.
Amanda works for the park's not-for-profit partner to support vital conservation in the area, including keeping track of the wolves.
Today, we're going to a special part of Yellowstone called Yellowstone's Northern Range. And the special thing about this is that this is the most wildlife-dense part of what is already one of the most wildlife-dense places in the continental United States. Even though this is only 10% of Yellowstone, this holds 50% of Yellowstone's wolves.
But that hasn't always been the case. In the early 20th century, the wolves here were wiped out by hunters.
So people, came out here, European Americans specifically, came out and waged war on predators.
Though it seems Yellowstone is a park of two poles, and 27 years ago, wolves were controversially reintroduced to stalk through the valleys once more. It was the first ever attempt at releasing these predators and remains one of the greatest rewilding stories of all time.
I'm just hoping that we really see wolves today. It's been a long drive, we've been up really early, so the payoff has to be wolves.
And, as if on cue,
where are you now?
Just passing Elk Creek.
Amanda, he was just telling you he's down the campground road.
Right now, those wolf packs are going to be focused around their dens and caring for their puppies. And so for one particular wolf pack, they're considerate enough to have their den site pretty much within view of the road.
There's a lot of cars here. What's going on here?
Looks like a lot of people are out today, so hopefully that means the wolves are out and about.
there's a name for the people who come and watch these wolves every day: wolf watchers. And there are plenty of them. One in particular is quick to show us where to look.
The black is called, I think it's 1229, a 2-year-old female.
Rick has been watching wolves almost every day for over 20 years.
We've been here for about 5 minutes and we've already spotted a wolf. Keeps popping behind trees and behind rocks. But hopefully I'll see it in a moment. It's a great wolf.
Given the wolves were
you know, pretty much wiped out here, it really does feel special to be able to see them just roaming in the wild. And it's actually just quite strange to think of Yellowstone without wolves being here. They're very much part of the territory.
I get the sense Rick is somewhat of a local legend.
What is it that keeps you coming back to get up early and check out the wolves each day?
Well, I'm almost at my 9,000th day of being here in the field here in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And so I never get tired of it. Every day I want to get up at 3 a.m. in the morning and come out here.
Yeah.
There's never been an opportunity like this in human history to study the wolves the way that we are right now. So just yourself this morning, you got to see tiny wolf pups coming out of a den. You probably had one of the best sightings of adult wolves and pups compared to many wolf biologists throughout the world.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen too much in human endeavors where your ancestors had made a terrible, terrible mistake in terms of killing off wildlife, that you can correct that mistake and make it better.
Yeah.
And that's what happened here in Yellowstone. It's a very positive story,
Yeah,
very optimistic
absolutely.
story.
A story that seems to bleed into every part of park management today. Partly thanks to these wolves, the ecosystem is now back in check. Which might have had something to do with my next stroke of luck. On this seemingly endless parade of some of the world's most revered mammals, I stumbled across this.
Driving along, just saw loads of people parked up, looking in a certain direction. I asked them what they've seen. Right over there in the distance, it's a grizzly bear. From what I understand, it's quite rare to spot a grizzly in the wild, so this is a very special moment. I mean, this is why you come to Yellowstone, right?
But it wasn't too long ago that visitors like this would have been behaving quite differently. Where the wolves were a pest, the bears were a source of entertainment.
By the late 1800s, bears had figured out that where there were people, there was food. For the next 80 years, a hallmark of every Yellowstone visit was looking for bears begging along the roadside or watching them feed on food scraps at the hotel garbage dumps.
Thanks to research, we've come a long way since then. While close encounters are rare, with over 700 bears in an area that is becoming increasingly populated, it's important to be prepared.
Randy! Hello.
I'm heading to West Yellowstone to meet Randy. He runs courses in bear safety, but he doesn't work alone.
Okay, this is the bear.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how you use this to teach people about bear safety.
Well, if you're not able to avoid an encounter with a bear, bear spray is the most effective thing you can use to change a bear's behavior. If you get this hot pepper oil that's in this container into their face, they're going to forget about you and forget that you might be a threat to them, and they're going to want to go somewhere else. Most of the encounters we have with grizzly bears around here, they're defensive encounters, so they're going to growl, they're going to drool, they'll huff and make different noises, they'll pound on the ground.
So it's good to have this strapped on your belt at all times.
Yes, because things happen really fast. The nice thing about this training device is it goes about 20 miles an hour. A real bear does about 35 miles an hour, which is quite fast.
Very fast.
This really gives people an idea of how quick they have to be to get their bear spray out, the safety off, and
I had
deploy
no
it.
idea they could even move that fast.
Oh yes. All right, we've assessed what the bear's doing. Looks like he's gonna charge. We've stood our ground, we got our spray out.
Oh yes.
Time to take the safety off, and when he comes, spray down in front of him for a couple second bursts until he changes his behavior.
Gotcha.
All right, here he comes.
Even though I know that's a mechanical bear, I was like, phew.
It gets your blood flowing.
One thing's for sure is that I shouldn't need my spray where I'm going next. Down the road, a group of dedicated individuals are working on methods to decrease the amount of bear encounters in the area, with the help of the bears themselves. keeping bears away from food ultimately helps keep the bears away from people. So when camping, it's so important to stash your food safely. Now here on the outskirts of Yellowstone, they're actually testing the sturdiness of food containers by putting them up against actual bears. And needless to say, these ones didn't quite pass the test.
We've put some dog biscuits in there so that it rattles around. There's peanut butter in there. There's actually an old fish in there as well. It's got to withstand 60 minutes of direct contact from the bears.
Wow.
But if it does, it can be certified as bear resistant by the Interagency Grizzly Bear Committee. So you can see,
look at those claw marks.
Some attention from the bears.
Yeah.
Teeth or claw marks here.
They're pretty deep.
Teeth marks.
Yeah. So tell me, where did these bears come from?
Grant is actually from Yellowstone National Park. Coram is from Glacier National Park. So they were wild bears that got into trouble with people. That doesn't just happen out of the blue. It really happens when bears get food rewards. And his last act as a wild bear was to climb into somebody's vehicle in their own driveway in the middle of the day while they were trying to unload their groceries.
Sadly, not all the mischievous bears can be rehomed here, and around 40 are put down each year.
So in the case of the 8 grizzly bears that live here at the Grizzly and Wolf Discovery Center, we've provided an alternative, but maybe, even more importantly, we give visitors to the area a chance to learn from their stories. Even though they're still getting into conflict with people over food, the population is much more stable than it has been in the past, and a lot of that is because of what we learned about how important it is in bear country to be careful with our food and techniques we have, like bear-resistant containers for securing that food.
The effort being made to educate visitors on how to protect this ecosystem for the future is undeniable. Back at the lodge where I started my journey, it's Scott's big flag-raising moment.
This is the Crow tribal emblem. It has the great seal of the Crow tribe. It's a very great honor, to come and do this for the tribe and the people. Really great honor. For the Crow people and all the native people who've never left this country.
Seeing these two flags flying alongside each other hopefully signals the start of something new. Where although the wrongs of the past are acknowledged, everyone who lives and works in Yellowstone can look towards a more respectful, more positive future. And what better way to mark this truly astounding national park's 150th birthday than that?